excited. We have an amazing, amazing guest today. I'm going to introduce her shortly, but we're going to look in the meantime quickly at the luxury numbers year to date for Keller Williams Luxury. So let's pull them up. Okay, so we have 15.5 billion sold, and this is January through April, end of April. We have total buyer closings of over 17 billion. So what does that tell us? We still have more buyers than listings, so it is still a seller's market. And we have total closings of almost $33 billion. 18,981 closing sites. Amazing. And if you look at the referrals that were involved in the transactions, we have 6 billion in volume in referrals. That is almost 20% of all volume. And what does that tell us? We need to network, we need to mastermind, we need to stay involved, because every 20th transaction is a referral. No, every fifth. My math is wrong. Every fifth transaction is a referral. So very important to stay connected with your luxury peeps, with your referral network, and to stay on the trend. Okay, so now let's switch gears and let's jump to our amazing guest. And I'm really excited to introduce you all, and some of you might know her already. We have today from Minneapolis, Cynthia Froid. Cynthia, hi. Okay, she's working on the audio. Okay, until she gets her audio. Oh, there she is. Okay. Hi,
Sorry.
Cynthia.
Okay, is it working?
Yes, it's working. We hear you loud and clear.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm using not my own computer, so that is why.
You're a busy lady. I know you were like running around on appointments, and well, I'm so glad you could make it. Cynthia, why don't you tell us a little bit before, I don't want to talk too much about you. Why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us about your team, the area you service, and how long you've been in real estate.
Great. Well, let's see. I am from Minneapolis, Minnesota. So I'm in the Minneapolis Market Center. I have my own office right downtown, smack in the heart of our historic Mill District, actually. And this will be my 26th year in the business, if you can believe that. I can't. I don't even understand it. But I have a very small shop, and I have not traveled far at all outside of this tiny little market center. And like I always say, it's easy to be a big fish in a small pond. So that's what we're doing here.
Awesome. And you do have a small team. Can you tell us a little bit about the structure on your team so we understand how you run your business?
Yes, well, we're in a state of transition right now, actually, not by design, but something we're kind of having to shuffle around with. So I'm the lead listing agent, and right now we're hiring another person to really handle kind of the meat and potatoes of our business, because I'm 100% focused on our new Four Seasons private residence project that's here in Minneapolis. So I have transitioned my focus away from the day-to-day condo sales to entirely Four Seasons. So that has been keeping me really busy for actually 3 years now. Other than that, we have a marketing team, and then let's see, 2 executive admins and a transaction coordinator team as well. So it really takes a big group to run the kind of numbers that we want to run, and with the level of service that we want to provide.
So how many people are you in total?
So let's see, I'm looking out the window as if that's going to help me count. So we are in the process of hiring one other person in the sales arena, and then 4 support staff.
Okay, great. And buyer's agents, how many buyer's agents do you have on your team?
Well, this other person that we're about to hire is going to handle buyers as well. And then we'll transition to a dedicated buyers person as well. We're really heavily focused just on listings.
Okay, great. Awesome. And you did last year 55 million and 78 units, just for everyone to capture that. That's a great production. Amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Amazing. Okay, so Cynthia, I mean, I've known you for a while. We've spoken together on panels, and you know, I love your business. And the questions that I have for you today are based on like what I know you for and how I feel, you know, we really want to showcase what you do, right? Because we have a lot of agents in South Florida that sell condos, and this is your specialty. That is your niche, and we really want to dive into that. So why do people work with you, and how do they find you?
It's easy to find me because we have actual bricks and mortar office space right in the heart, like I was saying, right in the heart of our historic district. So we're right on a street level. We've got beautiful outside space, and then our listings are lit up in the window at night. So it's a really strategically great location physically, actually. It was the scariest thing I ever did was to take over the space. I am actually renting from the city of Minneapolis. And so they're my landlords. I have a perpetual 5-year lease that I've started in 2008, right as the market was crashing. So that was terrifying. But I have found out that usually the most terrifying things are the most fruitful in the end. So people can easily find us because it's a very walkable neighborhood in both a residential and really kind of cultural neighborhood where a lot of music centers and the Guthrie Theater and museums and so on are located. Also, our marketing, people know us from our marketing because we are really, really hands-on with direct mail pieces. And our sponsorships in the neighborhood as well. So we also sponsor the neighborhood farmers market, other things like the International Film Festival, et cetera. And so we make it a point to be where our people are. It's not a coincidence that they see us here, there, and here. That is very calculated where people are seeing us. Mm-hmm. And I forgot your other part of the question. I'm sorry.
So why do they want to work with you?
Oh, so
this is your moment where you're allowed to brag about yourself.
I think my obvious charm and good looks, probably. I don't know. I think that, you know, because I've been in the business so long, 26 years, I kind of naturally, frankly, command a certain knowledge base that people just kind of assume that, oh, she's been around the block. She's been through various market cycles. And that's true. I have, you know, when people freaked out when COVID hit and all the unrest we had in Minneapolis, obviously it was concerning. I'm not going to lie, that was worrisome, but we've certainly been through other shifts in various market cycles. And it was just one more. I mean, it was tragic and it was horrible, but it was just another shift. And so I think that kind of naturally weeds out other agents, frankly. A lot of our competition ran for the suburbs. And so actually the unrest and COVID grew our market share. And 2021 was the best year we ever had because our competition was out of here. Yeah. So less competition, greater the market share. It's a very easy equation. So I think they work with us because of our expertise. We're easy to work with. We're right here. We have a really strong brand standard that we all adhere to, and you know exactly what you're going to get.
Yeah,
when you're working with us.
Great. So one of the things that I really admire about you is you're like super hyper focused. Mm-hmm. So when you, and I know that because I had a referral for Minnesota and I called her up and I asked her if she wanted to take a potential listing. And she said, nope, that is not where I work. And it's probably 10 minutes or 15 minutes away from you. Yeah. And she only focuses on the condos in downtown. And I really admire that because how often do we all have an opportunity to service a buyer for like $5 million that is an hour away from us? And I don't think we're doing really the clients a favor, or we're working in his best interest. And Cynthia is very focused on the area that she services in. And I want to know, why did you choose to do that? And how has that worked for you as an advantage?
Well, I think it's worked really well to be, like I said, hyper focused on just the downtown Minneapolis condo market because, to me, it's like if you're going to a doctor and you need whatever, a knee replacement because you've had a sports injury, you're going to go to a sports orthopedic, someone who specializes in knee replacements. Could your OBGYN replace your knee? Maybe. They're a doctor, they're an MD, they're both MDs, but you don't want your OB to replace your knee. So, I mean, that's how I feel about, selling things outside of my little world. Could I sell, a $10 million house on Lake Minnetonka that's only 20 miles away? Of course I could, but I wouldn't be the right person to do it because it's not my area of specialty. So it was really natural for me to just stay in my lane, so to speak, because I started out my career selling new construction downtown when there was nothing downtown. It was all just surface level parking lots and drunk Vikings tailgaters, grilling hot dogs on Sunday mornings. And we just literally built the downtown market year by year, project by project, and I never went anywhere. And so for that, getting back to kind of your first question too, that it makes it really easy for people to find me. They know exactly where I'm going to be. I'm not going to be 30 miles away in a suburb, and I'm not going to not be able to take an appointment that afternoon because I'm showing buyers, 40 different houses in 10 different suburbs. Mm-hmm. So staying focused has been great. And I will use that in a listing appointment every time, as far as what a champion of our downtown I am, and what a cheerleader and how committed I am to this neighborhood. Because again, frankly, other agents who have had to make the choice to go to different market centers, it's easy to use that against them. Maybe they're not as committed to your neighborhood. Maybe they don't understand your building or this community the way I do, because I'm not going anywhere.
So what has that allowed you? I mean, so you said no to, let's say you get a potential $10 million listing on the lake. You say no to that. What has that allowed you to do?
It's allowed me a lot of freedom, actually. A lot of freedom to focus on what I do best. And that is building upon the brand and reinforcing the brand. It really does. In my opinion, taking listings outside of my wheelhouse is only diluting my brand. So people know me as the downtown condo expert. That's all they need to know. And I'm giving them every reason to believe that. So it really has helped me to continue to focus and really dive in. And so many agents or even coaches, that I've talked to have said, maybe, you should think about, because you have such a strong presence in the luxury realm downtown, maybe you should expand to the luxury realm in the suburbs. And I've just said, absolutely not. I'm not going to learn something new. That is a distraction. It's taking me away. And then frankly, I'm competing with all those other agents who already are established in the suburbs. I have no intention to do that. And I don't think it's the right move. I don't think it would necessarily increase my business or my productivity. I think it would be a distraction and it would pull me rather than propel me. So rather than growing my business by working out into the suburbs, I grow it going vertically. So I might take on another neighborhood downtown, a new building downtown, and try to attack whoever maybe the primary agent is that's commanding the most of the market share in that building. I will try to take over that building and go upward like this rather than outward. That's been
Love
really
that.
effective.
That saves you also a lot of time because you're always in the same area, right?
Exactly. The same area. Right. Exactly. And we analyze every year our market share in every single building that we market to. So last year, we had over 50% market share in 7 different condo buildings downtown. Wow. And these are not random. This was no coincidence. It wasn't random. It was the plan of attack. We're really strategic on exactly which buildings we want to dominate, and we just go for it. And we track that. And once you have momentum, maybe you've got 2 listings in one building, then suddenly, you get the next one and a buyer for somebody else's. And so it's really easy once you have that momentum going, but you have to keep it going.
50%, that is amazing market share.
Yeah, we're really happy about that. In 7 buildings, and then there were about another 7 to 8 where we had 25 to 50% market share. So now this year we want to continue to grow those buildings while maintaining the market share in the previous buildings.
I really loved, I mean, this is one of the things I really admire about you, your focus on what you want to accomplish. I have a question for you because, a lot of us are asking us, okay, so how does that then work with the agents? So let's say you have an agent then that works the lakes that you send business to. Mm-hmm. Do they think the same? Then if they have then a listing downtown, do they reciprocate and give you the listing, or are they then trying to do it all?
In a perfect world, wouldn't that reciprocation be nice? Sometimes, yes. Sometimes they have to go through a little bit of pain before they come to that realization, because of course, most people, frankly, just chase the buyers wherever they're going, mm-hmm. or they chase the listings wherever they are. And a lot of times it takes a little while for agents to realize, oh, this is not what I thought it was going to be, maybe not as easy, and so on. So unfortunately, it doesn't always come back, but we're always working on that, trying to educate other agents on why they should send the referrals to us, because we're going to be able to service them much better than they could themselves.
Yeah. Great. Awesome. Okay. So let's switch to something different. I have a lot of agents that are newer to luxury, and they ask, okay, so you got your first listing, you sold the first listing. How do you get the next one? What would be your strategy? How did you do it?
Well, I think someone else's endorsement is always far more popular and powerful and impactful than one endorsing themselves. So I know that, with social media, it's really easy to put a big, social media splash out there about just sold another listing, just brought the buyer for this, just did this. It's all exciting. And you brag about how wonderful you are. But, I think that someone else endorsing you goes far further than you endorsing yourself. So what I always do is ask for testimonials. I ask for those personal endorsements. When I'm going on a listing appointment, I will ask, may I have so-and-so from this building call you to talk about our experience working together? I just sold their home last month. We sold it in multiple offers, and I think that you'd really enjoy talking to them. And they always say yes. Always. And people are always so willing and really happy to talk about their experience, especially when it was good. And most people are willing to take the time to do that. So I think, the numbers also speak for themselves. It's not just what I say. Let's look at the facts. Let's look at the data. And I will say, you can see here on these comps, I sold this, 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 and this. And I'll use whatever was positive. Either I sold it for the highest price per foot, or if it wasn't the highest price per foot, maybe I sold it in the least amount of days. If it wasn't that, maybe I brought the buyer to the listing. So I'll use whatever was the positive and work that into the conversation. And that's really effective too.
So, but if you had only sold one listing, how would you change that strategy? Would you use like market data, or how would you use that to your benefit? Because we all have to start somewhere. So somebody sold one luxury listing, how can they get more?
Yeah, because that momentum is really important. I think I would still do that first strategy of having the previous client talk to the new prospective client about the experience. I think that's just so valuable. So somehow connecting them, whether it's, in the condo market or another listing somewhere else, depending on people's individual market centers. I think having someone else talk about your work together is far more impactful than you talking about it yourself.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. I love that. Okay, so one of the other things that I really want our audience to see this time is this. I love this, and I get it from you in the mail. This is one of the most amazing marketing pieces I have ever seen. So this is something you never want to throw away. First of all, it's so beautiful. It feels so good. You want to
the fact that you still have it, you got that in January.
Oh yeah, I keep that whenever you send it. So first of all, it feels super good. It smells good. I'm a scent person, and then it
smells good.
Yeah, it smells good. It has all the buildings in there that Cynthia sells, and they're all like super nice. It's nothing like it. I don't feel it's like overly salesy. It's beautiful. Oh, here we have it. Yes. It's just, I can't put a word on it. It's just visually pleasing. Let's put it like this.
Oh, good.
It's visually very pleasing. And I'm in love with this book ever since we spoke together on the Luxury Mastermind.
Yes.
And this is just an amazing marketing piece. So tell us a little bit like how long you've been doing that, how this came about, and give us the story.
Oh gosh. Well, first of all, thank you so much. I'm so impressed by your little visual digital display here. It's beautiful. Who did that? No. So this is a labor of love. I'm not going to lie. It's a lot of brain damage to crank this out, but each year it gets easier. And you can see there that we have sponsors that help to supplement the cost of this, because it is a small fortune to produce something like this. Oh, there's Four Seasons. So that's kind of the centerpiece. We wanted to give Four Seasons a big splash this year. So it's expensive, but I think we had 5 or 6 sponsors last year. And they're people we work with, our lenders, our favorite contractors. Oh, there you go. Architects, things to that nature. And I want to say they each contributed like $3,000 each to be in this. And so that it doesn't cover it, but it certainly offsets it by quite a significant amount. And we've been doing this for 4 or 5 years. It always goes out. There's our photographer, Spacecrafting. It always goes out usually the week of New Year's, because we know most people are home. They're not necessarily working. The holiday cards have stopped there. So this is not going to get mixed up in all the holiday cards. So it's strategic in the timing that they receive it. So almost always that first week in January, and it's a nice recap from the previous year. We include testimonials, but I will go into listing appointments and people have a whole stack on their dining room table, like their little collection.
I'm not the only crazy one.
Oh no, they love it. Although I've never heard anyone say they love the smell, but I will have to. So yeah, people collect it. They love referring to it year over year. And the clients who have their homes promoted in this just feel so special. It's, they will actually ask. And actually, it's a really good way to express urgency in the third quarter for getting new listings, because we will say, if you want to be included in this year's collection book, we will definitely need to have this on the market with photos by, November 1st. So let's get going on that. So it's a really good way to push people into getting listings on the market and not waiting for the following spring, because you certainly want it to be in this year's collection book, don't you? So that's really fun. But yeah, and it's a lot of work to put it together, but each year it does get a little bit easier.
I love that book. This is really a great marketing strategy. I have yet to work on one for my team, but
well, and just you saying, Kathrin, that you've received it reminds me that we don't only send that to clients and professional colleagues locally. We send it to a good number of our luxury colleagues throughout Keller Williams and other companies as well throughout the country in specific migration markets where we know people are coming from or our people are going to. So that, again, we can be thought of by you and other colleagues around the country as the person to call whenever they think about Minneapolis.
Do you know how many of those you send out? Can you give us a number?
I think it was about 5,000 this year.
Okay.
So not a massive number, but again, really strategic. And we're not sending that to everybody. I mean, it's expensive. Just special people.
Wow. I know this is a great book. So I think Ariel just posted the digital copy, so you all can take a look and get inspired by Cynthia's great marketing. And then I also want to show you your newsletter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, if you could pull that up. They are also really great. So tell us a little bit, how often do you send your clients newsletters?
Every single Saturday at 7 a.m. it goes out. Oh, I think that was just our last week. So there, Mill City Farmers Market, we had our opening day in May. And so we always, so we're sponsors of the farmers market. It's conveniently right across the street from our office. Mm-hmm. And we do a little giveaway, first day of the market, the middle of the market, and then the last day of the market. So people love it. And we give away, whatever, a little pot of fresh lavender. You would think that we just gave people keys to a brand new Mercedes. I mean, they just go bananas over like a pint of blueberries or a little pot of lavender. So we always, in the newsletter, again, we send it out every Saturday morning. There's the film festival. We sponsor that as well. That's going on right now. We give away tickets for that. So there's always community events, always our listings, something fun with maybe trends or a new restaurant or something like that, an interview with someone, oftentimes press or media about us or Four Seasons. So anything that's relevant and timely will always go in it. We refresh the pictures of our listings every single week. So you would never see the same picture of the same listing 2 weeks in a row. That's really important because maybe a picture won't resonate with someone this week, but the next picture next week will resonate and they'll click on that. So we're really short on listings right now. We've got a severe shortage. So then what we'll do is we'll beef it up in some other area, but it's very gallery-like, a lot of graphics, a lot of things to look at that are pretty and easy to read. So that's been really effective. And I'm not kidding. Once we had like some sort of a glitch and the newsletter didn't go out until like, 9 o'clock in the morning. And my phone was blowing up with text messages saying, oh my God, it's 7:14. Where's your newsletter? I didn't receive it yet. Am I still on the list? What's going on? It's crazy. And then people will get together and they'll talk about it. Like, did you see the new listing and that, it's just amazing. It's really, really effective.
Again, visually very pleasing.
Thank you.
I'm a visuals person. So for me, everything you do is really beautiful.
And that goes to agents as well. Anyone can sign up to receive it.
I get your newsletter. So I love it. And
Thank you.
I have a few questions to that newsletter. Number one, what's your unsubscription rate?
Oh, it's very low. Maybe 1 or 2 people a week will unsubscribe. That's it.
Okay. And who puts that together? It's not you, right?
My God, no. But every Tuesday, so this afternoon, we go through and we outline exactly what's going to be in the newsletter this Saturday. So we know, and it's planned for. So the team is already assembling things for that. And that's another great way to create urgency on our listing appointments too. We will say, now, if you want to be in the Saturday morning newsletter, we've got to have photos by Tuesday so we can get them back by Wednesday so that they can be inputted into the draft on Thursday so that can be final edited on Friday. You do want to be in this week's newsletter, right? Or for a price reduction, you know, if we're going to reduce that price, we better do it today so it's advertised by Saturday. Same with open houses or whatever. So we're always creating that urgency and that timeline. Like, you want to be part of this, don't you? So yeah, that requires like a whole department to do that. Not cheap, not easy, but once you make the commitment to do it, you're doing it. You've got to keep doing it.
You have to. And so it's talking about, you know, we've been, I hate to call it return on investment, because sometimes we don't see a direct return on investment until, you know, we do something long term. But have you gotten any business from your newsletter and that brochure, that the beautiful booklet?
Yeah, every single lead that comes in, whether it's a buyer lead or seller lead, we track. How did you hear about us? And it's always a combination. It's interesting. People, you know, sometimes they'll say, oh, you were a referral from whatever, my brother, my neighbor, whatever. So the referrals are very specific. But if it's not a referral, they often will rattle off several different things. They'll say, I walk by your office literally 3 times a day. By the way, we have doggy treats out in front of the office. So that's doggy treats, the water bowl, things like that, cold drinks in the summer. It forces people to stop there. And if the human's not going to stop, that dog's stopping. So it's great. And then they're looking in the window. So they'll say, I walk by your office 3 times a day. And, oh, I get your marketing. I love your marketing. We save everything. It's so relevant because we always do things specific to specific buildings and neighborhoods as well. Or they'll say, we get your, you know, and we get your annual piece. Or, oh, I see you at the farmer's market. Oh, I know that you sponsored this table for this. So again, they're seeing us in multiple different arenas. They're receiving something tangible that they can touch and feel from us. And they are viewing us literally in action in our office, sitting here literally on the street level as well. So it's not one thing. It's always layered. It's always layered. And we always ask, because that is what is so validating to us. And then Sarah, our director of operations, at the end of the year tallies where all those leads came from and what that equates to as far as closed sales and commissions. So it's really interesting.
I bet it's sometimes really hard to tell because you know, you throw at them from all different angles, right?
Yes.
Like the Harry Potter movie where he gets the letter all different kind of ways.
Yes, exactly. But I do think it needs to be layered like that, because not everyone's going to follow you on social media. Mm-hmm. Not everyone is at home to receive their mailings. They might be, you know, in wherever, up at the cabin all summer long, or in, you know, Naples or Palm Springs all winter. So you can't rely on just direct mail. You have to rely on these multiple layers so that you're capturing people's attention at different phases in their life and different seasons during the year.
Great. Awesome. Okay. In a time where everybody right now, every buyer and seller is a little bit unstable, most of them, let's put it like this.
Yeah.
You know, life has been really hectic. At my latest Gary Keller Mastermind, Gary said we all aged over the last year 3 to 4 years. Okay. So yeah. I just want to know from you, because it is sometimes really hard to be in this business and deal with all of that. How does your life work balance look like?
Really, I mean, that's tough. That's tough. I've got 2 teenagers at home as well. And so, you know, just over the weekend, I was at their national ultimate Frisbee tournament and watched them play 8 games of ultimate Frisbee. I mean, that was like 2 full days. So balance, no. And then you're exhausted and then you're playing catch up. So I'm not going to lie, there's very little balance, let's face it. But I do try to break away. Travel is one of the things that I try to do. So, you know, if I can take a long weekend, 3 days, or I was in France for a week in April, which was helpful. It's like this constant stress relief, but stress producing experience, because it's great to get away, but you know, you're going to pay for it when you come back. But you know, if you can't take a week or you can't take 3 days, you know, check out for a half a day. You've got to be able to turn it off. And I think we're just so programmed to constantly, you know, be checking the emails, checking the text, posting things, whatever. It's really a deprogramming that you have to do, or you will burn out. You will burn out. It's just not sustainable.
Yeah, I love that you say that. I think we all need to be gracious with ourselves and give ourselves breaks once in a while.
Right. And to hire people to surround you with people who surround yourself with people who are smarter than you and can do the things that you cannot do. I could never do what my team does. I do one thing, I stay in my lane. This is what I know. It's what I do. I'm not going to try to learn someone else's job. And we always say that, stay in your lane. And so I would never be able to check out for a half a day or a week or whatever if I didn't have a team supporting me that could just handle everything. And most of the time, people don't even know I'm gone. Things are just handled. That's not easy. And that doesn't happen overnight. It's developing that and really nurturing those relationships and the expectations and empowering your teammates to be able to make decisions on your behalf when you can't or don't want to. You know, oftentimes when a problem is presented to me, the first thing I say is, what do you think we should do? And then they tell me and I say, sounds good, go do it. Great. Sounds good. It's usually a better idea than what I had. Or sometimes it's different and it works. And that's how you give your teammates the power and the confidence to make those decisions on your behalf when you are not necessarily there or don't want to. And they know that you trust them.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's better if you're not there.
Yes. I think they love it when I'm gone. Thank God she's gone.
I was sick last week and we got how many houses under contract? We got 2 houses under contract. So
yeah,
I was not really needed.
Well, and that's what I know I'm derailing your conversation a little bit, but that's what the process that I'm going through right now with developing some sort of exit strategy down the road. You know, 10 years from now, what's this going to look like? I've been doing this for 26 years. There's a point where this pace will not be sustainable. And so I've got to realize that what will the business be worth 10 years from now if I step out of it? If I'm the only reason the business is successful, it will be worth nothing without me.
Nothing. Yeah.
So we've got to groom the team and make the plan now to be able to sustain the business without me here. So that's really important. And I think that's what most agents never consider until 5 minutes before they're planning to retire. And then it's worth nothing without them. You've got to be planting those seeds now and be forecasting that and thinking about it and making the plans.
That was a great advice. Great advice. Okay, I have 2 more questions and then I have a few questions from the audience. I want to be respectful of your time. Number 1 question is, what are you focusing on now that the market is shifting? How are you changing your strategy?
Well, let's see. Because I'm so focused on condo sales, we don't necessarily see the same shifts that you see in single family homes, even in the immediate suburbs here. So when the suburban markets were seeing, 5, 10, 15 offers on houses, we weren't seeing that downtown. It's interesting. We're generally the opposite of whatever is going on in the suburban market, because when things are hot in the suburbs, sometimes it's a little bit slower in the downtown condo market, and vice versa. They're really like 2 separate universes. So right now I'm so focused on 4 Seasons that's really my priority, is to continue with the 4 Seasons sales. We're going to be closing all of them in the 4th quarter. That's taking all of my attention. But meanwhile, what I have to do is not take my foot off the gas in the regular everyday business that we have, the meat and potatoes. So to find that balance where we keep the machine running on the day-to-day business without me necessarily touching it, while handling Four Seasons as well. I mean, that's tricky. But the marketing and the right people is what makes that happen. So for me to give up, maybe not necessarily give up permanently, but hand the baton to someone who can take over our day-to-day business and trust that they're going to do that with our standards, frees me up to be focused entirely on Four Seasons. So I don't have to worry. Now, I'm not oblivious. We still have team meetings every week. So I'm very much engaged in what's going on, but I'm not necessarily the lead person. Then what happens after Four Seasons? Next year, there may be another project. Frankly, I could see myself working just on new construction projects downtown for a long time and have a whole sub team work on just our everyday business. That sounds really exciting and fun to me because that's how I started my career. So I think, keeping the consistency with the marketing and surrounding yourself with really smart people on your team, that's what's going to keep the wheels on the bus when you are focused on other things.
Right. So one audience member is asking, how did you get the Four Seasons exclusivity?
That was pretty awesome. I will say, because we are such a small shop. We were up against Sotheby's. We were up against some other big names that you probably all know of, with big giant teams. And but the thing that they didn't necessarily have is the relationships downtown. So they maybe, were big giant teams that were handling other types of luxury properties, but maybe they weren't downtown and they didn't have the relationships with the potential buyers. And Four Seasons brand generally is very, a bit more reserved, not so flashy, very cautious and very kind of, under the radar. And that's us too. I mean, we do very little overt marketing for Four Seasons. You would never see a bus bench or a billboard or anything like that. It's very much like, what's the secret handshake? Who sent you? And that really works. So they really liked that. So our local developer recommended me to the Four Seasons. And then we went up to Toronto, where Four Seasons is based. Most people think it's an American company. Actually, it's Canadian owned. And so it has been an amazing experience, a lot of work, 3 years of my life. And like Gary Keller said, I mean, the past year or so has aged us all. And this has certainly aged me too. It's been a lot of work, but it has been the experience of a career. And projects like these come around, once or twice in a career, if you're really lucky. And people certainly know you for this. So to have our brand affiliated with the Four Seasons right next to it,
it's like the best that can happen to you. It's like a dream come true, right?
It really is. Be careful what you wish for, because you might just get it. And then you're going to have to figure out what to do with it.
And did you have to go through several rounds of interviews, or you did one presentation and they're like, you're hired?
We did one presentation. It was quite intimidating. It's the boardroom with the whole deal. And then they called. I was actually abroad when I got the call that we were hired. And then it was like, oh my God, now what do we do?
How do I do that?
Oh my God. So yeah, it was great. Yeah, we knew right away. And, but no one else did, because again, the discretion was really important. So we kept it really quiet for a long time before anyone knew, because there's so much planning in the design phase that needs to go into things before you're ready to launch. So there was a lot of undercover work that was going on behind the scenes, and that was really fun. It's very exciting to be a part of something much bigger than you are from the ground up. And, the Four Seasons, that's a legacy brand. Selling a project like this, in a city like this, that's legacy making. So
I understand how you were terrified in the beginning. I probably would be terrified too. I'm like, when you got the call, you're probably like, how do I deliver now?
Right. I mean, it's an international company. They're in 47 countries. So, we did a lot of homework. We did a lot of homework before we went in there. But then again, it comes back to the same thing. You surround yourself with people much smarter than you, who are able to do the things you can't do, and you pull it off somehow.
Amazing. Well, congratulations on that project. That must be so exciting.
Yes, it is.
So I have an audience question for Mark Benson. Can we put Mark Benson on camera, Ariel? I don't know how that works. I'm relying on you. Here he is. Hey, Mark, how are you?
Very well. Thank you. Thank you for sharing everything that you did. And I apologize if I didn't pick up on something. Can you give us the range of the prices again for the units at the Four Seasons?
Yes. So we only have 34 residences total. And the price ranges start at about 2 million and go up from there. So we are averaging about $1,400 a square foot, which for Minneapolis, is the high watermark for sure.
And then David asked a question, and I'm just going to piggyback on in the chat, and I'll ask sort of a tangent to that. Is you mentioned that you have 50% of, was it 7 or 8 buildings market share? And then there's another 7 or 8 that you have about 25%. How do you go about increasing those other buildings to get towards that 50%? Mm-hmm. I know you mentioned a lot of the marketing things. What do you directly send other than your market report to the unit owners? How do you meet them face to face? Are you in touch with building managers, concierge, doorman, that sort of thing? If you could elaborate on some of that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So to clarify, when we track, we break it down as far as market share, 50 to 100% market share. So in those 7 buildings, we had at least 50% market share. Some of these smaller boutique buildings where there may be only, 40 units, if we sold 4 units in that building that year, we had 100% market share. I mean, that's really fun. And we will just shout that out all day long. But to ramp the other buildings up that need to be accelerated, sometimes it's premeditated and we will say, let's go after this building. And then despite our marketing efforts, we just can't seem to get the traction because there's not that much turnover. Other times it's a fluke, and we'll get a listing in a building that we weren't necessarily even really zoning in on, but we'll get a listing there and then another one follows and then the neighbor, and then they're selling 2 units, and it just kind of happens. And maybe we brought a buyer that had a need in that building. So sometimes you just have to go where the river is taking you. And don't fight it, go with it. I mean, if the universe is telling you something, just listen and get out of the way. But certainly those relationships with the front desk staff, with the management company, with the concierge, those are so important. And we give a lot of love to those front desk people. They're the best friends in the world because they know everything. They are the gatekeepers. They are.
What do you give them? Chocolates, muffins?
It just depends. It certainly during the holidays, we give a very nice gift certificate to the caretakers in the buildings that we care about. When we're going on a listing, we'll swing by with a little something that we know that they might like, whether it's flowers for no reason, or, a bottle of wine if we know that they like wine, or maybe I just happened to be grabbing lunch and I thought they might like something too, little things. It doesn't always have to be a big thing. And it's remembering things too, like even on Valentine's Day, a lot of the buildings have a few female front desk staff. So we'd bring a little bouquet of flowers on Valentine's Day for them, and they feel so special. I mean, just little things like that. But then it can't stop after the sale. So then after the sale, little things, maybe it's sending a handwritten card, maybe it's flowers again, maybe it's who knows what, oh, I happen to have 2 extra tickets to the film festival. Would you like them? Here you go. I'll drop them off for you. It doesn't have to be expensive, but just an acknowledgement and an appreciation for how important they are. And it's always, thank you for taking care of my clients, and thank you for making my job easier. I really appreciate you.
That is amazing.
Can you also talk about working? Can you also talk about working with an outside marketing and advertising agency or the Four Seasons staff as far as how that has influenced your plans going forward?
Sure. We do have a marketing group that we work with for Four Seasons. They were our recommendation. Because I wanted to control that. You know, I didn't want to work with a marketing group out of Toronto or, you know, whatever, San Francisco. I wanted boots on the ground to understand our voice and the majority of our purchasers. So having that kind of sense of community and understanding about the demographics here was really important. So they had to bless that marketing group, obviously. But also Four Seasons is very hands-on, and they check everything that we do. So everything has to pass the test and the stamp of approval with Four Seasons. And because we're rolling out the hotel at a different time than the residences, we don't want to, step on the toes of the hotel. And so it's very strategic on what gets rolled out when and the messaging. So a lot of times, we don't want to compete with the messaging that the hotel is doing, but we'll piggyback on what they're doing. They announce it first and then we do. But we will sprinkle in Four Seasons marketing with our everyday marketing as well, so that people know we're doing both.
Amazing.
It elevates everyone's marketing, frankly. If they know, oh, this is the person that's doing Four Seasons. Well, if they're listing our place too, now suddenly we're getting the attention and the same exposure that maybe the Four Seasons might be getting. So there's a way to kind of integrate all of it together, and everyone's brand is elevated because of that.
I see in your marketing, a lot comes from contribution. You give a lot before you get something in return. I really love that.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to be respectful of your time, Cynthia, and I know you've given us a lot of that. I really want to thank you for taking the time to pour into our South Florida region agents today, and I had a few guests from other regions. Thank you so very much for giving us your time. I'm sure there is a lot more questions. Maybe Ariel, can you blend in how we can reach Cynthia in case there's some follow-up questions? So we have Cynthia's email. Her team will get back to you if you have any questions or referrals. Remember, she is in downtown Minneapolis, and she is the queen of the city, 50% market share in some of the buildings and more. And Cynthia, thank you so very much for your time today. That was really amazing.
Oh, thank you, Kathrin. It means a lot to me, and I appreciate you and everything that you do. So anything you need.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so if you guys can stay on for a few more minutes, wanted to go over our next events. If we can, yes, perfect. So Brady has some amazing events that he's putting on. We have our luxury spotlight. This time we're featuring Nashville, May 25th at 1 p.m. Tune in. This is via Zoom. We have our luxury mastermind, and this time the topic is Deep Dive Your Economic Model for Success in a Shifting Market. June 22nd, 1 p.m. So this is for all of the luxury earned in members, and you should all tune in. Great value with Brady. He's amazing. You all know him. So don't miss this. And I think this is it, right, Ariel? Do we have anything else? Oh, the next South Florida Luxury Mastermind right after my birthday. Hint, hint. Tuesday, June 21st. And this is when I'm right back from partying. So I will be back on June 21st, 1 till 2 p.m. And we will have an amazing new guest for you. And I hope you enjoyed today's South Florida Luxury Mastermind. I hope it brought you a lot of value. And then again, if you have any questions or any topics that you want us address for the next mastermind, please reach out to us, reach out to the South Florida region or to me, and we'll always be happy to consider your feedback and integrate it into the mastermind so it's very beneficial to you. You make it a great day. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you, Kathrin.
Thank you, everyone.